Shadow Leader.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. May I start by wishing you a very happy New Year, and all colleagues in the Chamber. I hope you had a zestful and restful Christmas. And I'd also like to pay tribute to those members of the House Service who have been honoured in the recent honours list. The New Year is always a time for new starts and fresh beginnings, a time when people step back, look at themselves in the mirror, pinch an inch or perhaps two, and perhaps make a few resolutions. Lay off the pies, resist the siren call of the cheese board, spend less on self-indulgences and more on things that matter, take themselves in hand and perhaps try to manage things a bit better. Madam Deputy Speaker, the government might consider adopting these New Year's resolutions for itself. After all, by any standards, its first 6 months in office have been pretty catastrophic. It's had 6 happy months blaming everyone else. Now it needs to take responsibility and lead. We've seen how the budget continues to have devastating effects both on key sectors and more widely. Just this week, the National Institute has warned that the UK economy did not grow at all in the fourth quarter. That was just only a few weeks ago. High street retailers have reported their worst sales decline since COVID, both offline and online. Business confidence is at a 4-year low. Employment continues to fall. Job vacancies, their lowest for 3 years. Only this week, we saw that long-term interest rates in the gilts market, as very well highlighted by the Shadow Chancellor in the urgent question we've just had, have risen to their highest level since 1998, 27 years ago. That's longer than the age of some members of this House, Madam Deputy Speaker, reflecting severe investor worry about Labour's spending plans and increased UK vulnerability to increases in the national debt. Now, the government can't blame that on the past, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's a straight judgment on its own credibility, and it's costing this country dearly every day. The problem is not just that the government has damaged key parts of the economy with its budget decisions, it is that the long-term effect of those decisions is so counterproductive as well. CBI has calculated that the government's raid on inheritance tax will cost £1.25 billion more than it raises. Now, the Chancellor said, and I quote, "I'm really clear, I'm not coming back with more borrowing or more taxes," and last month she specifically ruled out an emergency budget in the spring. But the effect of these rising interest rates is to reduce fiscal headroom and make new tax rises or spending cuts very possible. Indeed, some would say almost inevitable. We must wait and see if that means emergency tax rises or an unexpected fiscal event in the spring with a detailed investigation by the OBR. But it also raises the question how the government can plan a spending review at all if it's not in control of the public finances. The damage is not going to be just to the Chancellor's own reputation, Madam Deputy Speaker. It will be to every member of every person in this country, every household in their pockets. So as we think about the new year, what resolutions should this House encourage the government to adopt? I would suggest 3. First, stop taking politically driven measures that actively hurt the economy. Stop punishing the retail and hospitality sectors that give so many young people their first job. Stop attacking farmers and the rural economy. Stop the madness of the Employment Rights Bill that makes it harder than ever to start and build a business. We should be celebrating and rewarding drive, energy, aspiration and entrepreneurship, not undermining them. Secondly, come clean to the people of this country about the government's own uncertainty, conflicts and incompetence. We've had endless announcements of new commissions and initiatives, each testimony to Labour's hopeless lack of planning before the election. We had a delayed autumn budget, and this year we'll have a spending review that, if it is not derailed itself by fiscal events, could easily last until June or July. It's all building up to a full year of stasis and stagnation since the general election. And a final resolution, Madam Deputy Speaker, might be this: show us some leadership. The Prime Minister pointed out, and rightly so, that in 2010 the incoming government inherited public finances in desperate need of repair. And he said, we cannot tax our way to prosperity or spend our way to better public services. These are refreshingly honest, cross-party recognitions of the difficulty of government. But when it comes to action, what have we seen? Dither, delay and divisive policy making. Reform of social care is a huge issue for millions of people across this country. It could lift huge burdens from the NHS, yet this week we learned that despite all Labour's promises of change, it has been kicked into the long grass. Madam Deputy Speaker, in closing, let me say this. This government was elected to own key issues and to address them, not to avoid the hard problems, parrot the usual political lines, blame other people and play nice to its friends in the unions. It needs to stop blaming others, get on and show the country it can lead.
Leader of the House, Lucy